Earth is home to a vast number of species. Scientists estimate that there are roughly about 8.7 million eukaryotic species on our planet, of which only 1.2 million have been identified and classified, less than 15% of the estimated total. As the largest animals on the planet, whales rule the ocean and play an important role in ocean ecosystems, world economies, and everyday lifestyles.
Whaling is a practice that involves hunting whales for meat, oil, and other products. At first, whaling was conducted as a regular practice, as whale populations seemed limitless. However, in the mid-20th century, it was noticed that whale populations had begun to decrease significantly. As a result, whaling declined, and today it is conducted in only a few countries.
There are several advantages of whaling. In some countries, such as the Faroe Islands, whale meat and blubber are an important part of the daily diet, making it advantageous to hunt them. Whale meat and blubber also have known health benefits. Pilot whale meat contains 25% protein and is high in iron, carnitine, and vitamins A and B. It also contains unsaturated fatty acids that help fight cardiovascular disease.
Furthermore, whaling also has some benefits to the economy. In some countries, whales are mainly hunted to export their meat. For these countries, whaling is a major part of their economy as it generates goods for them to trade and helps boost their economy. For example, much of Iceland's whale meat, upwards of 50%, is exported to Japan, as the demand for meat is somewhat greater.
Whaling is also important for tourism, as when tourists visit countries that practice whaling, many eat the whale meat sold there. For instance, in Iceland, only 1.7% of the population eats whale meat, which is about 5,600 people. Instead, 35 to 40% of Iceland visitors eat whale meat, so the importance of whaling to the tourism industry of Iceland is clear.
On the other hand, whaling also has some disadvantages. First, unnatural removal of whales from their ecosystems negatively affects the rest of the ecosystem, as whales are at the top of their food chains, meaning they help regulate populations of other species. By removing them, it causes certain species to thrive and others to decline, causing a disruption that could be detrimental to the food chain.
In addition, although whale meat provides some health benefits, it is often highly contaminated and can do more harm than good to our bodies. Since whales are at the top of the food chain, they accumulate many pollutants that are passed up the food chain. As a result, whales contain more pollutants than many other marine resources.
Finally, whale watching is a much more profitable industry than whaling, as whales are an important tourist attraction around the world. By the continuation of whale hunting, whale populations will decrease, which will lead to the decline of the whale watching industry, an industry that is important to economies of many countries.
In our opinion, we believe that the cons of whaling highly outweigh the pros, and that the practice should be completely banned for several reasons.
Since they are at the top of their food chain, removing whales affects the entire chain, as they can help ensure no one species overpopulates and no one species declines. When we remove whales from their ecosystem, thereby removing them from their food chain, a new species rises to the top, which will overpopulate and cause populations of other species to decrease. This can create more problems as there will be an unbalance in the food chain. An example of this is killer whales that use Canada's Pacific North Coast, specifically the transients. The transient killer whales are known to eat almost any warm-blooded mammal along the Pacific coast, including harbor seals, dolphins, humpback whales, stellar sea lions, and others. By removing killer whales from the food chain, it will cause animals such as stellar sea lions to thrive, leading to the decline of fish like salmon and cod, since these are food sources for other animals as well. It will decrease their food supply, which will also decrease their population, as illustrated by this example. Removing whales from their food chain will be a harmful effect on the entire chain.
Next, being at the top of the food chain, whales are exposed to a large amount of pollutants that have negative impacts on our health and body. This is because they are higher up, more specifically at the top of their food chains, making them vulnerable to pollutants that are passed up the chain. This means that whales accumulate pollutants that their prey has stored in their body from its prey. which is the case whenever one organism eats another. This process is known as bioaccumulation. For example, in the Faroe Islands, research shows that pilot whale meat contains mercury and polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, both of which are extremely harmful to our health.
Finally, whaling negatively affects the whale watching industry, which is far more profitable and sustainable. As humans, we are interested in the biology of whales, that is, their social behavior, intelligence, and strength, and we are willing to pay to see them in action, making whales an important tourist attraction. Since whaling removes whales from the oceans, it decreases their populations, which provides less whales for tourists and domestic residents to watch. The impacts of the decline of the whale watching industry are far greater than profits of whaling. Particularly, whale watching is sustainable, whereas whale populations are a threat to deplete. To illustrate this fact, in 2009, the worldwide whale watching industry generates a revenue of greater than $2 billion, fueled by about 13 million eco-tourists and employed 13,000 people. Every year, whale tourism could add more than $400 million and 5,700 jobs to the global economy.
Overall, we believe that if whaling continues and/or expands, it will have detrimental impacts to not just the ocean's ecosystems, but to the world economy and daily lives of people as well.